Hi again then guys, and welcome to another Forza Horizon 3 speed build, and this time we're going for one of my personal favourite homologation cars from days gone by, the Ford Sierra RS500. Personally, I've always liked this car more than the Escort RS Cosworth. The Escort is awesome, of course, but this one to me just looks so much better. I love the look of this car. I love the Sapphire version as well, the four-door. Even though it's not quite as quick or as extreme, it's still a very nice car. Now, as far as engine swaps, I would recommend having that Mustang unit, the supercharged V8. Then, though, you want to swap the aspiration to a twin-turbo instead. And as far as the drivetrain, as I would always recommend, all-wheel drive. Now, if you don't want to have that, if you want it to be more tail-happy, of course that's down to you, but I would recommend having the advantages of all-wheel drive. As far as the visuals, stuff like the rims, whether or not you want to keep the wing, of course that's all down to you, and for the rest, most people pretty much know the drill by now. Fit all of your racing parts, upgrade the power, lower the weight, all that kind of good stuff. Now, as far as the benchmark, it's actually surprisingly good for top-end speed. Typically a car like this would not be as quick as this one is, but as you can see, 265 is not slow at all for a car like this. The acceleration certainly isn't bad, but it's the top speed in particular which is really impressive, at least to me, for this particular vehicle. As far as the gearbox, I would recommend a pretty low final drive of 2.4, then for the individual gears, 2.9, 2, 1.5, 1.17, 0.95 and 0.78. So those are very familiar settings to pretty much anyone who's used my tunes before. We've got neutral camber, of course, neutral toe, 5 degrees of caster, so a little bit higher than sometimes. Anti-roll we've got on 33 and 21, springs on 185, 178, and I've opted for the lowest ride height. Dampers we've got on 15, 14 and 6. The aero doesn't apply, of course, and as far as the diff, you've got options, actually. If you reduce the acceleration settings down to 0, you will actually get better acceleration. That, though, doesn't exactly improve the handling, so it depends what your foremost concern is for the car. I like to have it with a bit of good handling as well, so of course it depends. So I've got 100% as usual, 0 on decel, and a 62% split, so very specific to keep the best benchmark numbers, but at the same time getting enough power and torque going to the back end to make it not tail happy necessarily, but to allow it to be manoeuvrable. So as always, there's plenty of room for variation if you want to change stuff around, and all that remains, of course, is to actually take this monster out on the street to see if it can actually hit that speed. Now, as I said, for me personally, I never expected this car to have as great top-end performance as it does have on the Forza games, and I remember when I first saw this on Forza, if memory serves, on Forza 4, I think it was. It might have been on Forza 3, but I think it was Forza 4. It was so cool to me to see this car on a mainstream game like that, and I've always loved the RS500 Sierra. It's one of my favourite homologation cars from that era, and overall the performance is definitely more than capable enough of winning races, especially against other homologation cars, from touring cars to rally cars like the Delta, the BMW M3, the Mercedes 190e, on of course the more touring car side of things. But it's great against those kind of cars. So if you haven't tried out the Sierra, you definitely need to. And of course, if you enjoyed using this tune, there are literally hundreds more like it for Forza Horizon, which you can click through and see in the playlist at the end of this video. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.